It is your host, E.I. Smith. Today's date is Sunday, August the 4th, 2019. The time is 6:53 p.m. I'm at the Walmart Neighborhood Market on Military Trail and Coconut Lane in Delray Beach, Florida. I'm going to get some gang stalking caught on camera for you this evening. Be looking for synchronized obstruction of movement, synchronized space crowding, an abundance of public service vehicles, and other obstructive gang stalking activity. I'm going to make my way down Military Trail and record until the recording expires. Let's go. I have 26 minutes of recording time, and this is the second Walmart that I've been to that refused to do an exchange. Another Haitian-run Walmart. Man, here's some synchronized space crowding. As I've said in previous videos, Walmart is a gang stalking hub, meaning that lots of gang stalking activity goes on in Walmart. If you're a part of the gang stalking community, I don't care if you're corporate security, I don't care if you're a bounty hunter, a private investigator, a police officer, a sheriff's deputy, or any law enforcement or semi-law enforcement personnel anywhere in the country, I'm letting you know what I think of your program. It's unconstitutional, it's silly, it's disruptive, it's annoying, it's extremist, it's fascist, and we got some synchronized space crowding here just as I'm getting ready to cross the street. There's a car coming. It's a waste of taxpayer money. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of your time. And as we saw over the past couple of days, you're not efficient. You do absolutely nothing to secure this country. This ain't nothing but selective targeting by a bunch of lowlifes who want to feel special because they represent some security firm or law enforcement agency. That's all this is. You want to feel appreciated. You want to feel big. You want to feel strong. You want to feel tough. So you select citizens around the country that you deem to be dangerous based on a sketchy set of ignorant criteria. And thanks to Congress, who are really a bunch of do-nothings anyway, you guys got a program porked barreled through Congress that gives you that power. Congratulations, you got it. But see, now you have another problem outside of just not feeling appreciated. You got somebody that sees right through sees right through what you do, and I'm videotaping it every single day. How about that? And the minute you punks try to discredit me or try to say that what I'm documenting is not a program or it's not orchestrated, that's okay. I'm going to keep documenting it, and I'm going to keep showing people that it's orchestrated. You ignoramuses ought to be ashamed of yourself for following United States citizens around the country, harassing them using your resources. But I see what it is. You guys got all these fancy toys laying around, all this equipment, all this surveillance stuff, all these police resources, all these private security resources just laying around. And what happens? You just can't help yourself. You need to use it somehow. Keep the military-industrial complex going. Keep giving the government and elected representatives reasons to keep purchasing the stuff that you all do. Okay? In 48 hours, we've seen 30 people dead by mass shootings. Where was your little security program then? Where was your security program at the Columbine shooting? This is all you guys do. You got little noisemakers That's what you guys do. You're noisemakers. You're petty punks. You create a false sense of urgency in the people that are around the target. You guys are ultimately responsible for a lot of tragedies that happen in this country as well. Car accidents, boating accidents, plane crashes, mass shootings, suicides, catastrophes on the job. You guys are a part of the military-industrial complex, and I know it. And you guys follow individual United States citizens around and give them a hard time about really just simple stuff like knowing that a person's trying to exchange an item. You bounce around from Walmart to Walmart, instilling fear in the employees that something bad is going to happen for them if they do an exchange that they're not supposed to do. Stuff like that. You harass people at work when they're trying to earn a living, you animals. You harass people using gung-ho police officers and sheriff's deputies. You harass people when they're at church. You harass people in their homes. You harass people in their neighborhoods. You harass people when they're shopping. You harass people in movie theaters. You harass people in shopping malls. You harass people in Walmarts. You harass people in Home Depots. You harass people in Lowe's. You harass people in Publix. You harass people in Winn-Dixie's. You harass people walking down the street. You harass people at bus stops. You harass people at the beach. You harass people at boardwalks. You harass people in convenience stores. You harass people in their vehicles. You harass people when they're driving. You harass people at school. You harass people at universities. All as a part of this ridiculously bigoted, fascist, gang-stalking, whereabouts, whodunit surveillance program that you guys have been running covertly since at least since the 1960s under the guise of a national security program. You pieces of garbage ought to be ashamed of yourself. And if there's anybody in the national news media or anybody in the book community, meaning authors and so forth, if there are any pastors, if there are any lawyers, judges, cops, military personnel, politicians, athletes, anybody who wants to try and discredit what I do, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You all, and I'm talking to the white side and the black side because you don't like to admit it, but in every industry, there's a white side and a black side. In the music industry, white side and a black side. In the sports industry, white side and a black side. In the entertainment industry, as far as movies, there's a white side and a black side. When it comes to Congress, there's a white side and a black side. Even in the president's very own office, a white side and a black side. There's a white side and a black side to the law enforcement community. There's a white side and a black side to the courts in this country. And I'm going to say something to a lot of the black pastors, judges, lawyers, Congress people, police officers, military personnel, and so forth, that will look to discredit what I'm doing on the grounds of whatever the slave-minded rhetoric you guys are putting together is supposed to do. You all benefit from gang stalking, and you're slaves. You look like slaves, you talk like slaves, you think like slaves, and the reason a lot of you have the good jobs that you have with all the great benefits is because you are seen as easygoing slaves. You don't think too hard, you don't want to think too hard. You don't question what's going on around you, you don't want to question what's going on around you. You're not aware of what's going on the ground in the lives of average people because you don't want to know what's going on the ground with average people. All you want to know is what the latest slang terms are and who the hot rappers are in the game, so you guys can take pictures with them and talk about them in your speeches to make you look cool and hip and to get your audience all hyped up. That's what you all are up to. And all the civil rights leaders, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, all of you guys are a part of the generational war that's going on in the United States. There's a generational war going on in the black community, and I'm going to tell you something. The younger generations didn't start it. Generation X, Generation Y, Millennials, Generation Z, we didn't pick the fight with you baby boomers and you silent generation blacks. You all picked the fight with us because being born in the years we were born in gave us an advantage that you guys didn't have. There was still racism in America, and there was still segregation, still fascism in America, but we were better equipped to handle it because the civil rights movement had already commenced, and we had technology that we could take advantage of that you couldn't take advantage of, and you resent us for that. And as a result, what do? As soon as one of the people, blacks from the silent generation or the baby boomer generation, gets a radio program or gets a book deal or gets any sort of a platform where he gets to talk to America as an entity, they go on record as saying some of the dumbest, most arrogant, slanderous, and libelous and untrue stuff about black men in particular that you could possibly imagine, okay? And why do they do that? They do it to try and show all other races in this country and around the world our generation of blacks is better than their generations of black. We come from the old school, baby. We have respect for this and respect for that, and we do this right and do that right, and our culture is better than their culture because of this and that, and look at our music and look at their music. And you start coming with all these reasons as to why your generation is better than my generation. And then you wonder why when stuff happens, when bad stuff happens to younger black people, they don't go to Al Sharpton. They don't go to Jesse Jackson. They don't go to none of these black pastors that are the so-called leaders of their community, even though they're nowhere to be found when bad stuff is going on. And you guys sit around and just you hassle people with the lies that you spread about them. I am not a degenerate because I come from a younger generation than you. Okay? And anything that I might have participated in, I might have consumed in terms of entertainment because of the generation that I came up in. If you don't like that, that's your problem. It's not mine. If you want to use your position of I'm not going to say influences because none of you are really influential. You guys are just repeating the same hateful narratives that you've been repeating for the last 30 years. There are just enough non-blacks in the country that like listening to that crap enough to buy it off you. So that's why you're still in business. And a lot of these so-called civil rights leaders, before they act at all, and this is why I think they're do-nothings as well, is because when something happens, when something bad happens, you expect whoever was wronged to crawl on their hands and knees up to you and ask you to do something. That's a hateful, bigoted, and silly attitude to have. And quite frankly, I think a lot of you so-called civil rights leaders ain't nothing but a money-grabbing, attention-grabbing, photo opportunity-loving haters. And you see every bad thing that happens to a black person or every injustice as an opportunity to aggrandize yourself, to give a few speeches and cozy up to the powers that be. That's what I see you guys as. You guys know what gang stalking is. You guys see it. You guys have an idea of what it is, but you don't stop it because, first of all, you don't want to look like an idiot trying to stop it. Because after all, if it's this pervasive and this efficient, then white folks must be behind it and Jews must be behind it. I don't want to offend none of them. They made me rich and famous. I don't want to offend them. Yeah, get a grip. And yeah, cops are pigs. A lot of them wake up every day and hope this is the day that I get to put a bullet between a black man's eyes. And not only do I not do a day in jail for it, but I get commended for it by my sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and the chief. The mayor might even give me a secret slap on the back for it as well. All this derived traffic coming at me from all angles. You punks ought to be ashamed of yourself. The national news media are a bunch of fools as well. They're haters as well. They like Negroes that go on national platforms and say bad things about blacks too. Show how appreciative you are of the book deal we gave you, boy. Say something bad about your fellow niggas. Show us how appreciative you are that we put you gave you a nationally syndicated radio show, nigga. Say something bad about blacks. See, there's a slave mentality among a lot of successful black people in this country, and they ain't afraid to show it either. It's pretty bad in the sports industry too, and you see it in football too. All these black defensive linemen, and I'm going to say Tom Brady because his situation is the most obvious situation in terms of the situation with blacks and their slave mentality in the NFL. And when I say slave mentality, I'm talking about the coons, the porch monkeys. That mentality is very present in the United States today. And it's most prevalent and most easily identified by the offensive linemen that refuse to harm Tom Brady. These guys are getting paid millions of dollars to go at Tom Brady and sack him, make him lose yards. But they refuse to do it because they secretly worship him There's even some Negroes in the NFL that call him football Jesus, even despite his Deflategate scandal. And there are some people that some offensive linemen in the NFL that refuse to tackle Tom Brady, but when they go up against Cam Newton, they try to end his career on every play. What I'm trying to say here is that the establishment, there's a black establishment in this country, and it is the most gosh dang hateful, silly, slanderous, snitching, and just unbelievably slave-minded situation you've ever seen. I'm talking slaves, man, and these black cops ain't no better either, man. These black cops are slaves, man. I'm trying to tell you, man, they are the biggest slaves. When they get around white suspects, they don't even question them. They keep their mouths shut. And they let the white officers handle the transaction. But when they get anywhere near a black suspect, get down on the ground, and they put them in handcuffs, it's porch monkey mentality that these Negroes have. Let me show whites, Hispanics, Asians, Jews, and anybody international how to handle these black Negroes. Let me show you how to handle them. Well, 90% of them can't read or write. 75% of them is having kids out of wedlock. Another 78% of them they've been to jail for something. 79% of them ain't never had a job. 68% of them don't work a job past 1 year. 97% of them ain't snitched, ain't even think about college. I'm not even worried about it at this point, man. And truth be told, if somebody from some big news network were to call me up for an interview about gang-stalking, I'd tell them to go to hell. I don't want to do any interviews with the American media. I'd rather do an interview with an international news source. I've had it with America, man. This country bites. Plus, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is the most fascist institution still in existence, controls the race narrative in this country anyway. They control the race narrative in this country. And as bigoted as they are, that's a scary thing. Plus, they've pretty much infiltrated every system of government that exists in the United States. And yes, they target black men. Why? Because they banned them from having their priesthood, and they're trying to make them look like a bunch of degenerates so as to justify that priesthood ban. Yes, that's exactly what's going on. And on top of that, I'm going to tell you something. And look at all this derived traffic. This is not, I'm just gonna stop and film this shit. You see this? It's fucked up. And I wish some South Florida pig would pull up on me and try and get me into some sort of a problem or something. They better do everything by the book, otherwise I'm filing citizens complaints and I'm putting the crap on social media. And I know that there are Mormons, which is a church that I happily left, that are scrutinizing my webpage and trying to get it taken off social media. Why? Because I've shown more of a Bible knowledge than any of them. And Mormons think they're the authorities on the Bible in the world, even though they barely believe anything it says. Now I got these no good, lazy, nosy, gang-stalking punks. That's Frank, says Frank. That's probably a reference to Frank Diaz, the do-nothing Cuban of Miami Powerhouse Church. See over here? All these cunts that are going in and out of there, they don't live there. Gang-stalking is something else. It's perverted.